welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, today we are zeroing in on a highly specific and honestly completely mind-bending moment in time, November 12th, 725 AD. Imagine feeling the salty breeze of the Caribbean Sea, but instead of the usual Spanish galleons or local canoes, we are tracking an epic cross-cultural collision. We've got Norsemen, Vikings, sailing right alongside Maya guides. Today, we're breaking down day 3 of their incredible journey as they sail down the Yucatán coast toward the legendary walls of Tulum.
To really get inside the heads of our travelers, you gotta hear this reaction from Uberik. He's a seasoned Norse warrior, right? And he sees a school of flying fish and just yells, "By the Bifrost! Fish with wings! What magic is this?" I mean, it's hilarious, but it perfectly sets up that total fish-out-of-water vibe for today's deep dive. These are guys who know the freezing, stark fjords of the north, suddenly plunged into a vibrant tropical ecosystem. It's this profound sense of culture shock and just absolute sheer wonder that frames every single thing we're going to look at today. So let's jump right into Chapter 1, Setting Sail for Tulum.
Picture this. The crew wakes up and their world is literally transforming before their eyes. You've got the earthy smell of Maya copal incense drifting over from the palace, mixing with the salt water hitting the hull of their longship. And breakfast? Talk about a cultural mashup. You've got the Vikings chewing on this heavy, savory roasted pheasant, while the Maya are sipping on this incredibly rich, dark chocolate drink. And here's the kicker. The Vikings, who thought this stuff was entirely weird just days ago, are actually craving it now. They absolutely love that bitter jolt to wake up their senses. And you see that same kind of culture clash when they start loading the ship. The Maya porters use these things called tumpline packs. Basically, it's a woven frame on the back, but the strap goes directly across the forehead. Now, to a Viking who carries all his heavy gear squarely on his shoulders, this looks entirely backwards. But from a biomechanical standpoint, it is absolute genius. It drops all that heavy weight straight down the spine right into the body's center of gravity. Super ergonomic for long jungle hikes. The Vikings are just standing there completely impressed, watching Kooballu's men pack up the ship so efficiently.
All right, the ship is loaded, so let's move right along to Chapter 2, Wonders of the Coast. So Haakon takes the tiller, they unfurl that massive square sail, and this flawless 4-hour cruise south just turns into absolute sensory overload. Picture the brightest turquoise water you've ever seen on your left and thick, lush emerald jungle on your right. Hour 1, a pod of dolphins starts racing the ship. By hour 2, we get that incredible moment with Uberik where the iridescent flying fish are just exploding out of the waves, totally shattering everything these guys thought they knew about the ocean. And then by hour 3, their guide Kooballu points out something even crazier hiding just inside the tree line. He's pointing out cenote, or cenotes. Basically, these are perfectly circular, sacred pools where fresh underground rivers punch right through the porous limestone rock of the Yucatán. Now, Sven Loki, our Viking engineer, his mind is just blown by the mechanics of this. He suddenly realizes the ground they're walking on is essentially a giant sponge hiding massive freshwater rivers literally steps away from the salty ocean. He's totally geeking out over the geology. But then, contrast that with Rannveig, the Norse seeress. She looks at the exact same pools and says, "They are eyes into the underworld. The spirits here are ancient, tied to the deep earth and the hidden waters." While Sven Loki sees porous rock, she is feeling the sheer spiritual gravity of the landscape. And get this, as she's staring into that dark, perfectly still water, the mysterious lodestar fragment she carries actually starts growing physically warm in her hand. It's this wild reminder that for them, in this totally alien landscape, the lines between science, magic, and spirit are completely blurred. Which brings us right to the main event, Chapter 3, The City of Dawn. As they keep sailing, the endless stretch of jungle suddenly breaks, and boom, Tulum emerges. Just imagine seeing this for the first time. These massive, creamy white walls shooting straight up out of sheer limestone cliffs. And sitting right on top, these pristine temples that look like they're literally defying gravity, just hanging there perched over the deep blue water. Ragnar is a guy who has seen fortresses all over Europe, right? But even he is completely silenced by this. Kooballu proudly introduces it to them as the City of Dawn, designed to be an absolute fortress, but also a booming hub for trade. You gotta think about this from a Viking's perspective. To a Norse raider, a coastline is basically an open door. You land your boats on the beach, you breach the walls from the sand, you're in. But when Bjorn looks at Tulum's seawall, he is genuinely shocked, because the wall doesn't just sit on the dirt. It's perfectly integrated into the cliff face itself. For a culture that built its entire reputation on swift naval raids, attacking Tulum from the water is a mathematical impossibility. It is, quite literally, an unassailable fortress.
And the engineering flex doesn't stop at the walls. Haakon knows his way around a harbor, from the icy fjords down to the Mediterranean. But the Maya setup leaves him totally speechless. The whole harbor is sheltered by this massive natural reef, keeping the water completely calm. And inside that, the Maya has built this crazy complex system of channels, perfectly placed mooring points, and these sturdy stone bollards for locking down big ocean-going ships. It is a highly efficient machine operating with clockwork precision. The mighty Jormungandr pulls in and gets tied fast to the stone. And suddenly, this terrifying Viking warship just looks completely dwarfed by the sheer scale of the Maya coastal defenses.
So, after an exhausting afternoon of tracing those insane walls, we wind down into Chapter 4, Evening Campfire Reflections. The sun starts dropping, bringing a cool tropical breeze off the water, and these two totally different cultures just kick back and share the evening together. The Vikings are hanging out next to these incredibly vibrant murals of diving gods, paintings that literally look like a sunrise captured on stone. Maya attendants bring out a huge dinner of fresh fish, sweet roasted plantains, and some more of that delicious maize bread. They get a fire pit going, and it's just this really cool, deeply human moment of profound peace after a day of absolute sensory overload.
And as the fire is dying down to embers, Randvig looks around and shares this incredibly poetic realization. She says, "The sea spirits here are strong. They sing to the stone." I mean, that just hits the nail right on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the profound harmony the Norsemen are witnessing here. Tulum isn't just a fortress built on top of nature, it's built with nature. The reefs protect the ships, the underground rivers give them water, the walls are one with the ancient cliffs, the sea and the stone are singing the exact same song. Which leaves us with this final thought. Tonight, the Jormungandr is safely tucked away in a Maya harbor. Her Norse crew is sleeping under a tropical sky, dreaming of cities carved from sheer rock, fish that fly, and feathered serpents. But remember, they're just at the walls. They haven't even stepped foot inside the actual heart of this empire yet. So I leave you with this. When the sun comes up tomorrow and they finally walk past those impossible seawalls, what kind of wild mysteries, challenges, and untold wonders are waiting for them in this extraordinary world? Thanks for hanging out with me for today's Explainer, and definitely keep that curiosity fired up until next time.